world of Elan, a great war between the continents of H.Y.D.R.A and H.Y.D.R.A is forcibly brought to an end by the Tempest, a cataclysmic storm that rages over the surrounding oceans, a divide which serves both as salvation and doom. The adventurers known as Hydra seek the means to control the Tempest, but can they unite against adversity on all sides? Can they repay a debt to a friend?
I apologise once again for the lack of sessions recaps over the past few months. It has been a very long time since I did one, and it's a shame because all of these sessions really do deserve the time it takes to do a good session recap, because it's a great game, it's a debt to a friend. And we are nearing the end, so I'm going to try and recap it as best I can. But before I do, just a quick update. My list of projects is building up faster than it's going down. For example, I've just bought myself a new PC, which hasn't really helped with editing as much as I would like it to have done. But hey, you know what? It's a new gaming rig, so that'll do just fine. I've still got Combat Patrol magazines coming. I need to do a review of the issues so far. I was expecting to do that today. That's looking a lot less likely. I was hoping to have a lot more models actually painted rather than just assembled, so again, that's building up. I've even started building some Tyrellian dog soldiers, and if you don't know who they are, you can blame Games Workshop for that, because they really do deserve more love, and perhaps will in some works that I'm writing, and if they appear in a narrative Kill Team Battle report. I've still yet to do some, and the part of the problem is that every time I want to try a new project I'm just beginning setting up, Games Workshop then release something else. So I was going to do Blitz Bowl battle reports, or match replays or whatever, and then they release Blitz Bowl 2nd edition. Not in the country that they make it in, though. Not in England, not in Nottingham, England. No, they release it outside into the rest of Europe and in the US of A. So that means I've got to probably spend about 70 quid if I want to get my hands on that, and to be honest, I'm not that eager to play Blitz Bowl. I might as well just stick with 1st edition, I think, and even then I could always just get Blood Bowl instead. But yeah, so Combat Patrol is still going ahead, still enjoying it, still building my Blood Ravens, and I've also made my own High Fleet Carnets, I think is going to be the pronunciation. It's going to be based on a lot of English mythology, mostly around the coast in a small town called Filey, about the Philesian Bridge of Reetgrand, which is the setting for my Kill Team campaigns that I want to set it on, but maybe some other Combat Patrol stuff as well. But it's going okay, it's all going good, and I'm still having fun with it, and that's the main thing, isn't it? That no matter how many of these projects I get, as long as I'm doing them, I'm having fun, I'm not getting burnt out massively quickly, and that's all good. Also as well, speaking of other projects, I've stupidly got into Battletech.
Is this some kind of joke?
You dare to refuse my bajol?
Refuse your what?
I mean, properly got into it. Like, I've got the box, Battletech, A Game of Armoured Combat, because my FLGS has sold a copy. They had that, the starter set, which I didn't really want, and Clan Invasion as well. So I want to get Clan Invasion because, well, I'm Clan Ghost Bear. That's just, as soon as I saw that, I thought that's me. So I get into the lore. I want to get deeper into the lore as much as I can. So yeah, there's only so many hours in the day though, and I'm only really reading the bits I want to. I don't read enough about the general lore, which is kind of going to be a bit of a problem if I want to actually start doing narrative campaigns and things like that. As I understand, Battletech is quite popular in this Green and Pleasant Land, or at least certain corners of it. I don't think it's a big thing here, even in the store it was sold in. I also found as well there's a Halo miniatures game, which is probably better than Halo Infinite, to be honest. Called Flashpoint or Waypoint, I'm not entirely sure. It looks pretty cool, so depending on the scale of those miniatures, I might buy some and just get them to paint and make my own stories for them. Because Halo has awesome lore, especially in the novels as well. You wouldn't believe the sort of stuff that's in the novels that doesn't make it to the games. But yeah, so I love BattleTech. That's my new love, and yeah, like it's not replacing 40k in any way, but yeah, I am enjoying that. Maybe even getting into War.Cry with Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and maybe if I can, possibly even more time. Yeah, it's getting crazy now, isn't it? It's just way too much going on. So anyway, that's my little update. I can't think of anything else I've got to tell you. So let's get on with the session's recap, shall we? Again, apologies for the little tangent there. I just thought I'd explain what's going on. So this is going to be a very, very brief recap of each session, and I can't remember what happened in which session it was that it happened, so you'll have to bear with me. Last I recall, also as well, I'm having to do a lot of this from memory. This will mostly be a talking head video more than any other, because I haven't really got them as screenshots. They're scattered all over the place, and I can't get them in order. So I'm sorry about that. You're going to have to bear with me as I try and maybe email them. I won't have access to the laptop that I need to email the screenshots from. So, until the weekend, possibly, at the earliest. So, it is a bit cacadoodie. Anyway, let's go on with the recap. So, last we heard of the Hydra. They were in the Temple of Air, finding the fourth and possibly final artifact to make what seems to be a sort of compass that will lead the Hydra to the heart of the Tempest and find the solution to all of Elan's woes, all the while racing the Draconians for this final piece. However, it appears as though the Temple of Air has been taken over by the Draconians, and they're using it as a forge for their weapons. The Hydra makes their way and finds the artifact of Air, and in so removing it, the automaton armies that the Draconians are building here suddenly come to life and are quickly cut down as we make our escape. In so attempting to slow down the Hydra, slow down the Draconians as we're storming through the Temple of Air, being chased by automatons and probably their other forces as well, I, as Commissar Katyusha Loskaus, start pulling levers and pulleys and pressing buttons on a dashboard out just in front of a massive window that is unfortunately obscured by a lot of fog and smog. And one of these buttons was a nice, juicy big red button, and of course, being an orc, essentially, I have to hit it, right? That's what you gotta do. You just can't resist it. Like, that's got to do something, and it's got to do something good, and it's got to do something big, right? Well, it did. The Draconians. Because pressing that button, just slamming my hand on it, caused alarm bells to ring. Not the alarm bells of intruder alerts and things like that, which we successfully disabled for the most part on our paths to where we needed to go. But alarm bells to say it's time to strike, as airships are loaded with automatons and they march, or rather they fly, to the west of Alkesh, right towards the Kingdom of Ostergarth. And that's possibly the most disastrous thing I've ever done in a game. And which is, blowing up the kingdom that I serve. So, we also meet a sort of draconic figure, like almost like a demonic entity that's coming out of like this black screen, telling us that we do not understand what we do, and it did not waste any time with us in trying to explain what it is that their master plan is. So, I had one idea, but I wasn't sure if it was retconned very, very early into the game. In fact, I think I even mentioned it in a session recap, but I didn't speak it, because I think I know what it is, but I don't want to give anything away or spoil anything. So, moving swiftly on from that. We can't kill this demonic entity or whatever the hell it is in this jet black screen. And the airships are moving, so we've got to think, right, okay, we've now got to get to Drummeth and try and intercept it any way we can. We board the Astral Phoenix, we make our way past the inn at Little Water, the Leaky Brolly Inn, and we make our flight to Drummeth, and we see the most horrific sight that I think we have in the entire campaign, barring of course the Hollow King. We see Drummeth burning. The city is on fire, and the Draconians are making their way, advancing now towards the throne room, towards the citadel in which the Queen is. Fortunately, she has been evacuated in a royal yacht, which we discover after we made a choice. We have the final artifact. We can choose to give what we have to Professor Volmak, or rather Volmak of Thran, and Azunis at his last known location, or we go to Drummeth and do what we can to stop the Draconians. I was being far too much of a pragmatist. I thought maybe seeing Volmak and ending the Tempest sooner would be the better choice. However, I was talked out of it very reasonably by my fellow adventurers and the crew of the Astral Phoenix to go to Drummeth. And our DM did advise us that if you did go there, the ending of this campaign would have been very, very different. So, it seems as though we made the right choice. We go to Drummeth, and we see above this city on flame the royal yacht with the Queen and the Minister of the Interior, Wyatt, as well as other Ostagarthian sharpshooters aboard, holding against a Draconian ship that has rammed into it. With, of course, all the Draconians that we've come to know and love, the named ones, that, as well as a few assassins, that we've come to know, kill many times, and no doubt that we'll be back again at some stage. We barely beat them back with all our might, and we managed to drive them away, and we decide now that we've got to make our move. What do we do? Unfortunately, any plans that we have do not survive as the Chandelier dragons make their way from the skies towards our location. Unfortunately, they are halted, if not entirely stopped, we're not entirely sure, by none other than the draconic forms of Volmak of Thran and Azunis, who come in and save the day. And once again, just like so many sessions ago, Professor Volmak summons an even greater spell, some sort of gate spell, I believe it is, to allow the Astral Phoenix and the royal yacht to pass through. And in doing so, we find ourselves in the safety of the shifting sands of the devouring wastes, with Volmak of Thran and Azunis fighting and perhaps dying to save us. We decide our next plan. The Queen is safe, but we need to know what to do. So we need to call on allies to stop the Draconians. The Hydra and the Astral Phoenix goes to Eberros to meet the Tranquility Warden, where we are welcomed, and we ask, plead and beg for aid for Ostagarth. And there is a lot of uproar and cynicism and even jokes about how the enslavers are the enslaved, and why should we help them? After all, the Protectorate of Bracca wants the Conclave of Braca, were the former slaves who broke free during the War of Rebellion, the Great Rebellion. Why should they help an enemy of over 200 years ago, where many people from that time are still alive to remember what they did? We offer a proposal that, with their help, we are one step closer to world peace. The Queen of H.Y.D.R.A is willing to come and meet you with very few men-at-arms just to protect her, and talk about peace terms, lasting peace terms, because we now have the end of the Tempest in our hands. All we have to do is put it together. The Tranquility Warden and his court consider this, and so we go down to try to find a forge. We go to H.Y.D.R.A's old mentor's forge, where they work the magics of the compass and the native magics of Erebos, a land brimming with the arcane and druidic magics, and the divine, to finally forge the compass, to give the compass aim with the artifact of air, a swirling orb of wind. Just as the artifact is being finished, there are bells sounding all throughout the Protectorate. And that is the sound of bells that have not been rung in over 200 years. We ask the smith what these bells signify, and he tells us that that is a sound that the Empire is on our shore. There's panic and trepidation as people look to the sky and see the royal yacht of Queen Tom being brought to the skies of Erebos, escorted by Griffin Guard, and being led towards the Tranquility Court, where we ourselves go to join the talks there, which are extensive and difficult. While I engaged a lot in diplomacy myself, I have to say now that Rakanar did exceptionally well, getting lots of clutch points for us, reminding everyone at the table what actually happened with the Draconians for the first time we met them, where they are, what their strengths are, what their weaknesses are, just how deep the Draconian conspiracy goes. It's long and arduous, these talks, and just when no ground seems to be given to anyone, Queen Tom suggests that she does not expect this aid for free. She will tell the people of H.Y.D.R.A that they officially recognise the Protectorate of Braca as an independent entity, and that all schools will be taught the atrocities committed by H.Y.D.R.A all those years ago in the days of the Empire. Furthermore, other talks can be made as well, trade routes, safety routes, and a mutual warding against a threat that they both know is real, even if not everyone at this table has seen it. There is a lot to talk about, and unfortunately not enough time for the Hydra to stay and talk about it as well. We have the solution to end the Tempest, as we say. The Draconians want to control it, but we want to stop it, if we can. Make it so that this defensive component, the thing that keeps H.Y.D.R.A from the Protectorate, is gone, and new relations can be built anew. We take it to where the compass guides us. But we're not alone here. Not only is the Queen here at the Protectorate of H.Y.D.R.A, we're also joined by allies that we've picked up along the way. We have the H.W.D.R.A speaking for the Hydra after we had freed them from the boot of the Empire, after slaughtering some of them rather indiscriminately, but let's ignore that part. After all, it was just a misunderstanding. The H.W.D.R.A will join us as we make our way to the temple, or the location, the heart of the Tempest, where it all began. We also have Jasper and Torgadon joining us as well. Two characters who we met in G.E.E.S.E, who have helped us against the Hollow King and Father Leonidas, who were responsible for controlling the undead and not allowing them to find their final rest for the Raven Queen and Lord Kelemvor of G.E.E.S.E. We had others to speak for us and offer aid and supplies, anything they could, all while recovering from their own attacks from the Draconians. Meanwhile, others are keeping watch for the Draconians, halting their advances into other territories. So we take the Astral Phoenix and we go to the west, to the far edges of the world of Elan. And it's there we find an anomaly, an arcane anomaly, or something much, much older than the arcane itself. As we approach, we find a battle locked in time. Or what is about to be a battle locked in time. With the spell cast to create the Tempest. As if so believe that that's what caused it. Something happened here that's prevented the Tempest from dying out fully, from keeping it in stasis. We see, as we're floating in the sky and we're making our way to this place, we see Empire of Ostergarth ships. And about 30 minutes away from them is Conclave of Bracken ships. We guess, based on the information that we have, looking down our spyglasses, understanding of history and things like that, we understand that the Conclave ships will strike and they will be destroyed immediately by the Empire ships. Whatever they want to do, they will not achieve it, except their own death. So, we go in, and we notice as well that all of this scene is frozen in time. It's like looking at a diorama, or a snow globe. And as we inch closer, time is moving just ever so slightly. We move in, and we try to approach the Conclave ships. And we hail them, and we let them know that we are here to help. We offer them entrance into our minds, and they see that everything we say about these Draconians, about this Tempest, all of this is true. And they can't believe it. They've been stuck here for 200 years, stuck in time. They haven't noticed anything about this. But they have a chance to do something great, as time is now slowly but surely resuming. And so we make a plan. We need to get to an island. These two armies are around. we need a distraction. We need to be able to get in and out as quickly as possible. The Conclave makes a decision that it will make a sacrifice, because it will not be able to escape the Ostagarthian fleets if they've been seen, and they have no intention of turning around. And even then, the world they knew is no longer there. It's moved on without them. Also as well, a person of note on this ship is Admiral, not Huxley. That's the name I've completely... I don't know why that name's come to me all of a sudden. I've been trying to think of it for ages. Not General Huxley, Admiral Huxley. It's the General... what was it? General Hummel. That was it. There's an Admiral Hummel here, who seems to be who seems to have a striking resemblance to the General Hummel of the present day. And he's cursing, and he doesn't want any of us to succeed in our mission, and he calls us traitors and whatnot. And we're not having any of it. And so he's perfectly willing to die as a prisoner on this ship, because if it means sinking the Conclave and dying in the process, then, well, it was worth it. He had a good run. So we make a plan. We take the Astral Phoenix back up in the air, and we do what we can to keep this ship alive for just a little bit longer as we make our way to this island where the Tempest seems to be coming from, where the compass is pointing us. Rakanar fires arrows at the ships, at the Empire of Ostagarth ships, killing many of the crew members below. Nero drops alchemist's fire flasks, so Greek fire, or basically napalm, on the ships below. Klaus the bear also throws down some fireballs as well, because it's his responsibility to end forest fires. And I as well use my last use of sending to shout to one of the crew members that our ship has been invaded, fire upon us and bring down the interlopers, of which of course they do so gleefully. And I thought that was one of those Warhammer things I've ever done, like more so than drive me closer when I hit them with my sword. It's like, yeah, that's cool. Like, just no proof, no evidence or whatever, they just want to shoot upon one of their own ships. And so they do. It's carnage. And this Conclave ship is just sailing through them, launching spells and flinging magical arrows and all this sort of stuff, just taking down as many people as they can. And as we get closer, time is going faster and returning to a normal pace. And so we make our way to the island, and we find the most tempestuous, swirling whirlpool before us, as we are surrounded by fog. And at the end of this bridge leading into this gaping chasm stands, or rather floats, the Hollow King, who we, again, by the skin of our teeth, kick the crap out of, but not without trying to pull us into the Tempest below. As Rakanar is sucked in and Nero's trying to avoid the vacuumous effects of the whirlpool before us, everyone else follows somewhat reluctantly and does so as well. And we leap in, and there's blackness, and then we awaken, and we find ourselves into a sort of druidic chamber of stone, and there are 4 altars, and our characters are distributed among them. There is a pillar of fire, a pillar of water, a pillar of wind, and a pillar of earth. And at the head of them all sits a man whose expression is gaping with agony. And it's only when Rakanar and I approach the man that we're frozen and we fall to our knees and we are subjected to the Hollow King's memories. It's there where we're taken back to old Ostergarth. We're taken to a city. I'm not entirely sure which one. It might have been Drummeth. And we're taken to a city, and we are prisoners. We're drow prisoners, and we're being held in a position that's almost like crucifixion. The sun is rising, and it's scorching our skin. And nobles are gathered round in this town square, laughing and guffawing and eating fine meals, as they see that this is the dusk of the rebellion. This is the penultimate moment before the rebellion is completely crushed. Here are some of their leaders being tormented as a final hurrah. Except this is all part of the plan for the Conclave of Bracca. Because the Conclave hasn't sent these people to die. They've been sent there to perform the most important task that is needed. To show that the Ostergarthians can bleed. If they can bleed, they can die. I flip a coin. I get heads. I think I will get tails. So Ragnar gets one character to play, and I get some Drowish Venomancer or Arachnomancer. I think I get to turn to a spider and cast spidery spells, and it's awesome. It's so cool. That's like my favourite monster in D&D. And I loved it. Arachnomancy, awesome. I love druids. I love druids in D&D. The whole wild shape thing is amazing. I'm terrible at reading character sheets and whatnot for it, but it's so fun. It's so fun. And I turn to a giant spider, start tormenting the populace. Ragnar, as this drowish figure, also turns into cast darkness and other arcane spells to really sow terror. And basically our mission here is, for as long as we can, just slaughter as many nobles as we can. There are very few guards here because they don't expect this. They don't treat the rebellion with the respect that it absolutely deserves. And the slaves are running loose, and we just massacre the place as best we can. In my death throes, I fall into a well, and I choose to bleed out and poison the water supply. Whatever happens here on the surface will not just be felt on the surface, it will be felt in the waterways, as entire generations will further be wiped out. Ragnar casts his spells, does whatever he can, and he witnesses the first major attack on Ostergarthian soil, as a drowish wizard sizzling in the sun appears before us and says that I die a free man, as he casts delayed blast fireball at the highest level he can and causes a catastrophic boom around him. Think the beginning of Akira, that sort of thing. That's what happens. There is a gigantic kaboom as it blows up the entire map. And so we awaken. And our comrades around us ask what we saw. And we tell them what we saw. All the while, Jasper is being told that the Raven Queen demands that this man on the throne be killed for whatever reason. Probably because he's defied death for so long, he has been required to remain here. So now the choice must be made. The Hollow King has to be destroyed. And it is. We have the option of controlling the Hollow King or destroying it. We choose to destroy it. But then someone has to take the throne, to control the Tempest, to make it so much safer. We decide amongst us who should take the throne. All of us, I think, except Rakanar, volunteer, because Rakanar has been fighting so long to survive. This is not what the law of the jungle is about. So he decides that he won't take the throne. Eventually it comes down to Jesper and I. And we do as the Raven Queen would demand. We leave it to fate. I take out a dice set and I roll a 20-sided dice. I roll 8. And I thought, oh no. It really does look like Jesper's actually gonna take the throne. And sure enough, he rolls 14. The dice have decided that it is Jesper who will give his eternal life to take the throne. And he sits there and he feels the surge of power, and he has become a god in his own right. This tiefling who had no parents, no direction except for what Kelanvor had in store for him as a doom guide, to lead the dead, but still always serving another master in the form of the Raven Queen. Makes something of himself, not just after defeating the Hollow King and never seeing any reward for it, or any recognition for his service, now becomes a god. And the way he controls the Tempest is easier than breathing. It takes no effort at all for him to just simply cause the Tempest to calm itself. Anything we want, he can do with the click of his fingers. And so he calms the storm. It will take hours, days, weeks, maybe even months for it to fully settle, for the ocean to heal itself. But for the time being, it is calmed. His faithful companion, a paladin of Bahamut, Torgadon, does not want to leave him alone. But he says that he will come back and visit him. Because they have served together so long. They've been doing this together for all this time. It's not about to give up on him now. But he must go and defeat the Draconians. And so the Hydra exits the temple, boards the Astral Phoenix, and finds that the fighters are locked in combat. In time, forever. Those on the ships, swords raised against borders, cannonballs frozen in air, magic spells just waiting to reach their target, and will forever. As we exit the island, and we make our way back to the Tranquility Court. Not all is sad, though. We have lost Jasper, but we have gained new insights. The Queen and Tranquility Warden are smiling at long last, seeming somewhat merry as they can be. Not as nobles enjoying safety from the slaughter, but knowing that there may yet be peace between our peoples. There is still so much more to discuss, and the Draconians, we have learnt, have another plan. We also learned this from Jesper as well. He senses something else, that his Tempest is calming, but the Draconians are forming another, and he senses it through the throne room. At least that's the closest he can get to it. The source of this power, Tempest. Another Tempest. Smiles and laughter and small amounts of cheer are slowed and stopped, as our work isn't done yet. We have to go back to H.Y.D.R.A, and we can't yet while this Tempest is still booming with power. But we do have one single chance. There is a branch of the World Tree which allows people to teleport or travel through the roots of the world as long as that branch is there. So we can take a small team, take the branch, take the World Tree and make it to that branch and come out on the other side in the treasury of H.Y.D.R.A or wherever it is now. And in doing so, perhaps put an end to the threat of the Draconians once and for all. This session ends with us considering what we want from the armory. Supplies that we can take that are reasonable requests before we engage in what might be the next and possibly final battle of H.Y.D.R.A. But that's going to have to wait for another 2 weeks, I'm afraid, because that is where our session recap ends. As a sessions recap. I hope that's been enjoyable without so many pictures to see and all this sort of thing. I wish I could have given so much more in-depth information. I'm having to go entirely off memory though, but next time I will make sure I'm recording notes much better. And yeah, it's been good, and it's looking like we're seeing the end of the campaign. And it's always good. Like it's bittersweet. It's like I like the campaign. I'd like to reach the end, but at the same time, I don't want it to end. I still want to play. It's a magnificently put together world, and the characters are amazing. And yeah, it's just a fantastical experience. And I can't wait to see where this goes. But yeah, that's it for now. But thank you ever so much for watching. Take care, ta for now. I hope you've enjoyed this session's recap of A Debt to a Friend. Ta for now.
You are now Isola, the rightful property of Clan Jade Falcon.
Yes, 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 yes.